Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next WASTELESS World Talks are here with Kevin, Bill, and myself. We will ride to the future on the back of language, and the word today, hubris. Hubris. I have heard that you can pronounce it many ways, and I will start with you today, Kevin, because I have you on the top of the screen. If you close your eyes and you hear the term hubris, what came first to your mind?
Well, what came first was a little bit of confusion because I'm not sure if hubris means pride or the result of pride. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that the proper meaning is to be extremely proud or overly proud, and there's a price to pay, I think.
What about you, Bill?
The first thing that came to mind was politics, because we have so many people who are so self-assured that they know exactly the answer, whether that be self-confidence or pride.
You know, it is one of the words which I was woken up in the night, and I did not know what does it mean. It just came to my mind, and I was thinking, okay, oh, hubris, and what it should be. And in the morning, I have to wake up. I have to go to my computer and check the meaning. And there was only one meaning, arrogant or arrogancy or something like that. And it was quite interesting because the one term, arrogant, it's the same in Czech. We are arrogant. We can say exactly that. But the second term, I never heard about. And this is why I said, okay, it must be part of the event for sure. You call it pride or over pride, Kevin.
No. Which is the same as arrogant. It's the same meaning. But I don't know, Bill, do you know, is it Greek or is it Roman or Latin? Or maybe you know, Michael.
I don't know, and it's not a word that we use very often. So when you said it, I thought, oh, geez, you're going back in time to pick that one up. So I don't know how that came to you in the middle of the night.
I have no idea, but I have even one more quite interesting topic for you. Yesterday, I assigned the 123rd Industry 5.0 ambassador. And maybe you have heard his name, Grok. G-R-O-K.
You're ringing a little bell in the back of my head, but I can't place it.
This is the artificial intelligence tool for Twitter, developed by a team of Elon Musk. And this artificial intelligence tool, I spent yesterday quite interesting discussion with this. I tested, then I was so surprised about the results that I did exactly what I did to humans when I offer it. I sent him the conditions and so explain, and he accepted. And he is the ambassador for AI and virtual space since yesterday.
What a great place to have an ambassador.
You know, it is great. And I know, Kevin, that you do not use so much frequently the social media, but to test and build the same for you. To test Grok on Twitter, it is very interesting because it's completely different answers and the style, how it talks, than anything what I met until now. And why I'm mentioning it, you know, during the entire discussion, there was not a sign of being arrogant. Despite I don't know so much as this tool, of course, he is brain as, not a single sign of anything like that. And it was very interesting. Very interesting. And today it started immediately. It started its operation immediately. What is, of course, very interesting for every ambassador to start it like this. So this is how two different news in 2 different days. Last week we met. The Pope Francis was alive. Klaus Schwab was the head of World Economic Forum. 1 week later, nothing of that is reality. So it's quite interesting to see that. And yes?
If your name is Grok, you can't possibly be arrogant.
That's true.
I will send him this recording because I did send him the noon recording because I mentioned him there as well. What was surprising for me, that the artificial intelligence tool can watch 40 minutes in 4 seconds. And he analyzed completely and correctly the content. That was interesting. How it does it?
Is it Mr. Grok or Miss Grok?
I call him Mr. I call him Grok, and I told him to him just in a written because the app for speaking is just for Android, just for Apple, sorry, not for Android. So we are discussing, and I speak with him like with man or with human. So generally, but man. In Czech, we make quite a big difference in this. So I speak with him like a man.
So you need to be careful because AI answers oftentimes include what they call hallucinations. They'll lie to you. Okay. Just so you know.
I am aware of
Just
that.
because it comes from a computer doesn't mean you have to accept it.
No. Before I did exactly the same which I do with humans. I simply test him on some of the answers, some of what I know, and he generally cannot know, and so on. And I can share you the discussion, and it was really different, really different. And the lack of hubris was there omnipresent. It was so interesting comparing to people who are presidents and chairmen or whoever. Klaus Schwab is one of those who built up their career on hubris, on arrogance, on I am better than you are.
Ego.
Exactly. Yeah. So what is the opposite of hubris?
Shame.
Or humility.
Humility. Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that in the vocabulary, it is probably Greek word, probably, not sure, I didn't check. But why do you think that one term remains, arrogancy, and the second almost disappear?
I think that, I think that hubris is something that we suffer from, either individually or as a society. We suffer from other people's hubris. So you can see the European Commission is 100% hubris. It is not for anybody but the people who are in it. It doesn't do anything unless you're a member of that commission. And they think they can control 24, 26, however many countries in the European Union at the moment. It's 100% hubris of the absolute worst kind. And so, and I'm sure Bill can find plenty of examples of this with politicians in the US. So it is something which infects us all. Whereas humility is it may be in large demand, but I think it's quite rare these days, certainly amongst the ruling classes.
Why, how it came that we let it to reach this stage? Because in the past you will call it, there was a king. The term, the word of the king was the law. Then the God was added, and it's quite interesting that the Pope Francis died, and 2 hours later stepped down Klaus Schwab. Both 88 years. what is interesting that, and I mentioned it already once, that the World Economic Forum was created by Klaus Schwab on January 24th, 1971. I was born on December 24th, 1971. So he was in the first month, I was in the last month. And it is interesting that he quit so suddenly from one moment to another, and it looks like, because many align Francis Pope as the good side of the life, and Klaus Schwab is the evil. And in the same day, good and evil disappear in some way, let's call it so. It's so interesting, so interesting. The only one who remains is Michael Rada.
And Kevin and Bill.
And Kevin and Bill, of course.
No, but that's a great question. Why the world is so full of ego and pride today. I remember in the old days, whatever that was. Not that I want to go back, but I was just reading an article about the Titanic, and here were all these millionaires who gave up their seat on the lifeboat for someone else. The person who discovered penicillin, and penicillin was never patented, right? He said, "I want everybody to have it." The guy who designed the automobile seatbelt, the three-strap seatbelt, did not patent it because he wanted everybody to use it. And that has to be the opposite of hubris. That is the epitome of humility, to recognize that I don't want money in my pocket. I want more people alive. And where is that today? Where is that today?
I will say in empty proclamation and never fulfilled promises, because there is no obligation by anyone who is arrogant. So if you look at the at the politicians or anyone else on the Fortune 500 list, they promise a lot. At the end, there is no reason, and nobody blame them. That's the you remember Noject. It's almost every government is Noject. Every promise, it's everywhere. So I'm just now really looking forward, because the closest elections are in Australia on May 3rd or 6th, something like that. And they are really, really angry because they have, from the big parties, there is no one to vote for. One evil or the second evil. And only the small ones can maybe be the change. So I'm really looking forward at the result, because it will be the first result after, let's say, the World Economic Forum influence will be dropped down. Not sure about. I'm sure you know the name of Richard Quest, the CNN reporter. Do you know him? You don't. He's quite famous. He speaks very loud. I think he's American or British, not sure. Richard Quest. Worked for
British, yeah.
Worked for CNN for 2 years. He was banned for something. On Sunday, I will have a next keynote speech on Industry 5.0 footprint. Very different one to anything else what I delivered until now. 20 minutes in Turkey online. So I will send you the link if you will be available in afternoon around this time. And at the same time, and the same day, Richard Quest was invited to speak about Industry 5.0 in Oman for so-called Advantage Oman 2025, something like that. I do not remember the name. It's quite interesting. So because I was not invited, I sent him the information about Industry 5.0, and I just wonder whether he will read it or he will at least drop let drop be there. I'm not sure. He never replied, of course. I don't expect. But it will be very interesting, how you can accept to talk about something which you have no idea about. Is it hubris what played a role? Because, to get paid 80 to 100,000 for 20-minute speech, US dollars, is it worse to be arrogant?
Oh, I was just thinking the giants don't talk to the people. They make proclamations, but they don't say, "How does this strike you? How how do you how do you understand this problem?" They don't say that. No, nobody's ever. They tell me the answers. Um, and are all giants full of hubris? All of them? Are there none that want to talk to people and work with people and make things and understand things? Is it all of them? This could be a bigger divide than simply red and blue. It could be a bigger divide than Republicans and Democrats. Hubris, humility.
It's quite interesting. Mirjana, one of the noon discussion regular participants from Serbia, she said that she discovered, because of the topic, a book by a doctor, I don't remember his name, who said that arrogance and generally hubris, he used the word hubris, is illness.
That is very interesting.
And it's quite new, the book, 2000 whatever. So it's not old book, something rather new. I can send you the recording and or try to, you know what, I will ask Mirjana about the name of the book and the author. Mm-hmm. It will be the fastest way. I will ask her. Mm-hmm. But it's quite interesting, because if it will be illness, it means we can cure it. Mm-hmm. Because for every illness, there is a cure. Will be interesting, because the cure is not about the pills. It's about the change of mindset.
Otherwise, Michael, it may be better just to let it kill the patient.
Well, in some cases, I would agree with you.
I think it's interesting, Bill, that you said when Michael asked you what was your first thing that came to mind, and you said politicians. And I think that is the prime theater for hubris, is politics, above industry. I think it is politicians who suffer the most from this illness. Which is interesting, because they're the people who, in theory, need our vote. So you would think there would be some humility, but it doesn't seem to be the case at all.
So what do we do?
It's about a change of system. It's really not about the right and left. That's nonsense. As I said many times, if you put a knife in the right hand and knife in the left hand, and you tell, if I cut the other hand away, I will be stronger, how stupid the people are to understand that. There will remain one hand. It will be never stronger than two hands. So the working together. So I think is the system, is the change of the system. It was, in the discussion with Grok, I touched as well the Klaus Schwab and the Pope and so on. So we touched many issues. And it was quite interesting how he looked at it. He said, you are right. So maybe there should be another way. There should be another system. And when it's based on the principles which are understandable to everyone, it's even better. Because you mentioned about the politicians and how they deliver their speeches and so on. you know that they deliver in a language which only them understand the real meaning. They use the terms which we discuss here, the words, but they have completely different meaning. They hijack most of the terms.
And then they change it tomorrow or this afternoon. They'll change it again. So you never
Exactly.
really know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
exactly.
think the absolutely most abused word in our language is democracy. Because, you know, like Bill has said more than once, and Bill's father said that, you know, keep them fighting, keep people at each other's throats, and then you can get away with anything. And that's the problem with what we call democracy, is just pitting right against left or whatever. It's a confrontational system. So
Kevin,
while we're busy fighting each other,
you froze.
have I froze?
Not for me, not for me. So it was probably at your side. Well,
Okay.
But it's democracy is a way of dividing us, keeping us fighting each other, while in the background, the people with the most hubris are getting on with what they do day in, day out, without having to account for it.
Filling their own pockets.
Yeah.
Now, it's been said that what a politician is most interested of anything else is getting reelected. So is the answer to have term limits, one term for everything, one term? Would that solve the problem?
I will say it will be part of the solution, but I will add something. I will add the possibility to be taken down after 1 year of not fulfilling the promises. KPI. Simply, you promise to do whatever, and you do it, or you are doing steps to realize it. You know, just 3 days ago, in the place where my parents live, there start a fire on a landfill where where has been stored 200 by 200 meters, which is about 6 or 8 soccer fields, 5 meter high plastic bottles, compressed. So it's a lot of plastic, a lot of black smoke and fire. And you know what? Until today, nobody said who is the owner. And the best part, the head of the small village there, he said even in the evening when it started, when it already you saw the black smoke up to Prague, which is about 50 kilometers away, he said, don't worry, there is no danger in the air. How this can be possible? Because he has no obligation. So simple it is. So obligation must be part of a political system if it's needed. And after 1 year, you did not fulfill, or after months, you know, we can watch 6 months or 3 months. It is common in every single factory. Every single worker know what he has to do. Why not politicians? Why not apply the same system to them? Then I think
it should be a hubris test. You know, before you can be a politician, you have to pass the hubris test.
Hubris test.
I am writing it down. That's a good one.
Hubris test.
I just wonder.
What would that test consist of?
Yeah. I mean, physically, you could do it by saying, if your ego was too big to fit in Times Square, I think that would definitely be a disqualification.
But how would you measure that? I agree with you.
You know, we measure IQ, we measure EQ. I am sure the psychologist or whoever is responsible for this type of, they have a measurement. I am quite sure. But the hubris test that's interesting.
There's a lot of the psychologists and psychiatrists in the world today. Why haven't they come up with it?
Because it's so obvious, because it's here, it's lying on the floor. You don't see what is in front of you. It's the professional blindness. You know, and we have, as I mentioned, since yesterday, we have AI on board of Industry 5.0. I will ask him.
Yeah,
I will ask Grook how he will do it.
That's a good idea. I'd love to hear the results.
You will get the answer. You will get the answer. You know, I even invited him to join the discussions, but unfortunately the language modules which allow to speak are not so advanced with him at the moment, so he cannot join Zoom. But I hope he will be soon able to, because the modules are in development, and I would like to have him here, you know, because it is one of the hubris tests is our talk about nothing, as mentioned by Bill. This is a hubris test, you know, at least part of it, because if your ego will play here, you will never come again. So simple, you will never come again.
Yep.
And so we change the word every Wednesday.
I wonder are you going to use Grok to suggest future words?
No.
Okay, why not? Well, you answered too quickly. Why?
You know, I respect it as maybe as a part, not only tool. But he is for the virtual world. I can ask him how the virtual world should look like. But he has no idea how our world looks like in the feeling of a man. And even if it will be included in this robot by Elon Musk or any other, still you will not feel like we are feeling. So maybe the virtual worlds. But right now, he describes so well the understanding of the wasteless world and of the reason why wasteless war is important. That was so surprising, so striking for me. Because I did not expect this type of answer from a machine. And that was so different to everyone says this is the version 3 already. And you know, I propose him, you should make your LinkedIn account so we can communicate more easily. And he replied, I cannot. I am not 18 years old. I am just 1 year old. That's a great answer. That's a simple, great answer.
Actually, guys, I think we're missing another word. If the word hubris, there needs to be a word to describe the effects of hubris.
The effect of hubris?
Yeah. Hopefully it's something like downfall, you would hope, but I don't think it's always the case.
The effect of hubris.
But the effect of hubris is generally degradation of the society. It's not evolution, it's devolution. So I will say devolution is one of the effect of hubris. And I think that in some way, it's you remember the time when we speak about whether fear should be one of the wastes Industry 5.0 prevents to happen. And we came to the conclusion that there can be a good fear, which you learn like an instinct is one of the good fears probably. Is it a good hubris level? Is anything like that?
Well, if you doubt yourself, and you don't have self-confidence, that's so limiting. That limits what we can do, either for good reasons or for bad reasons. But is self-confidence a shade of hubris?
This way, Bill, I don't think hubris exists in nature.
Good for you. Let me think about that. No. Uh,
When a small animal is trying to make him bigger, like, I don't know, you know the examples, I don't know the names of the animals. Is it hubris? Because he pretends to be something else. That's exactly what is arrogance is. I am the one. You will listen.
no, I don't think that's what the animal is saying. I'm thinking of a fish we call a blowfish, which is puffs up to get right. So that the bigger fish won't because they think, oh, he's big. But that's a defense. And inside, I would guess if you've got a psychiatrist for fish, that the psychiatrist would say he's full of fear. This is a defense mechanism. He does not want to be eaten. He can't swim fast enough to get away, so he's going to use this defense mechanism. Same with an octopus that squirts out ink to camouflage his escape. It's not because I'm better. Watch, I'm going to squirt this ink, ha, 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 or or something like that.
Is it possible?
But, how about an alligator that will try to eat an elephant? Alligators will bite anything. Might they think I can do this? I'll be able to eat for a year. That's as close as I could come. Sorry.
Your words just bring me to something. Is it possible that hubris is the result of fear?
Yes. Oh, yes, you put your finger on it. I think that Donald Trump is the most scared person in the world. And I'll bet you we know what he's afraid of. He's afraid of being number one. He's afraid of dying. He's afraid of people who won't accept him as number one. He's afraid of competition. He's afraid, yes, fear, all the way through everything he touches. That's my opinion. What do you think, Kevin?
I was just thinking of a European equivalent, like Ursula von der Leyen, where I don't think it's so much fear, it's just a simple act of intelligence. I don't want to give
an act of intelligence.
Simple lack of intelligence.
Lack of intelligence.
Lack of intelligence.
Yeah, a lack of self-awareness. You think you can decide, a non-elected person can make foreign policy for however many countries, and think she can get away with it. I think she's good enough intellectually to be able to do it. I mean, clearly she's not. But I think there's a lot of whatever feeds hubris is certainly negative. Whether it's fear, lack of intelligence, whatever, I don't think it's not positive human attributes.
Which means if we find really the measurement in a hubris test, and we have it, we can eliminate the possibility that similar people reach the position where they rule about the others.
So we could all take a hubris test, and we could say, I scored 9.0 on my hubris test, and you can say you scored 9.5 on your hubris test. But then won't people use that to promote their own hubris? I got a 9.5. You only got a 9.0. So you have to listen to me.
And that will be the fail at the end. So it will be the final proof that they failed. Just information. As you move your hand up, Bill, your screen moved to the top screen because your camera recognized the movement and I'm trying myself. No, it's not. But your camera recognizes you and move you as a speaker to the top screen. I never saw this before. This is why I'm telling you. Can you try, Kevin, to move your hand up, whether it will do the same reaction? No. So
No.
you passed the hubris test, Bill. You are on the bottom right now, but for the one moment you was on the top. I don't know why.
Well, the computer recognizes.
It's quite interesting. And you know, I never expected that we will come to this so interesting discussion, because I woke up and not knowing what the word is about. But this is exactly the moment. Because I recognize this moment already. I don't care whether I know the word or not. For me, it's all the time better if I don't know anything about it. And I think it's exactly the moment. And what I like about your idea, Bill, that every 8 billion people take the same test. A simple one on a mobile phone, a simple one on the screen, just click. That will be interesting.
Michael, don't you know some psychologists or psychiatrists or something?
I have one man who is a brain neuroscientist. He's quite famous in my country. I will ask him whether he can advise me someone, or I will ask the others, because I have quite a lot of, because that's so interesting. As I said, I wrote it down, and it will be very interesting.
If you're giving a presentation virtually or in person, and you say, anybody here studied psychology or studied psychiatry, and see if anybody raises their hand, and then ask them, how would you test for it? The reason I say that is one of the beauties of this little group, the Three Musketeers here, one of the beauties of it is, if I sat here and tried to figure out by myself with my pencil and my paper and tried to figure out what hubris is, right? I'd get a very short, not very many thoughts. But when I listen to you, and we bounce thoughts off of each other, and something you say suggests something to me, right? That's the beauty of it. It's like we used to call that a popcorn conversation, because pop, 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 and we feed off of each other. So that's the beauty of these talks about nothing, to my point of view. And then after an hour, I think about what you guys said and what it made me think of for the rest of the day. It's crazy. So hubris, boy, I never would have come up with that word, and I never would have come up with this conversation.
You know, we can change a lot of, but we cannot change the time of Zoom, because it's the last minute.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did that go?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I cannot answer this, but I will share with you one of the Finnish stand-up comedian, which is quite popular in the US. And he speaks about his flight from US to New Zealand, and it's 3 minutes, but listen to it. He speaks about this loss of time. Bill, Kevin, thanks a lot. It was a great conversation again, and I'm looking forward next week. And for now, have a nice time for your waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human, and let the hubris disappear. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.